freaking out. I didn't know what to do.
Kind of going through a traumatic event because his girlfriend's missing. If he hadn't called it in, we wouldn't have known.
I'm thinking either some maniac's gotten her.
This guy said, if he is not taking care of you good, I'll take you home.
Okay. So you're saying she left with someone?
It was the guy who she was talking to.
If there is any possibility of her surviving, it's dwindling.
If you're lying to me, I need to find out exactly what you're lying to me about. You're the last person that's seen her alive. Hands down.
They're not going to be able to get a conviction without the confession.
Carlsbad 911, what is your emergency?
Yes, my girlfriend left last night and she hasn't made it back to the hotel.
What is your name?
It's Robert Early. I mean, I've talked to her parents, to her ex-husband. Nobody's heard from her, and she was pretty intoxicated.
And where are you at?
The Stevens Inn.
Let me go ahead and have an officer come see you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I can tell you this, it's everything as far as the outcome of this case. I mean, it affected all of us. I'm the one that got the initial missing person report. I briefed our detectives and investigators.
He tells us Robert Early's living down here right now. He's working in the oil field, and his girlfriend's from Dallas. She's a school teacher. She came down to visit him for the weekend.
Emily and Robert, they grew up in the same small little area. She did not know him in high school, but they went to the same high school. He was older than her, so they were a couple of years apart. When Emily first met Robert, she had added him on Facebook. They had mutual friends in common, and she thought he was somebody else. And they went to a bonfire party, and they met, and there was an instant attraction. Emily is one of the most dynamic people you will ever meet. She's girly, but she can do the guy stuff. She can do the sports. She can do your makeup. Emily is a little bit of everything.
Emily called me on Saturday from Carlsbad. She sounded really happy, like she was having a nice time. On Sunday morning, when we got out of church, I had a text from Robert, and it just said, "This is Robert, call me." And so I immediately called him, and he said, "Emily's missing." I said to Steve, "Let's just go out there and see," because we were so worried we didn't know what was going on. Emily has 2 daughters. They were here for that weekend. So we all drove to Carlsbad.
8-hour drive. I'm thinking either some maniac's gotten her, she's been hit by a car and in a hospital and no ID, she's chained up somewhere, with the gangs and the cartels along the border.
Carlsbad's probably 25 to 30,000 people. At the time during this incident, there was probably, I would say, 40,000 people, more than that, due to the oil and gas industry.
During an oil boom, you're bringing in a lot of people that have been convicted of felonies and various crimes because the oil field isn't too discriminate when they're hiring. So your crime levels react to that. You have more burglaries, more rapes, and more homicides.
As soon as we were done with the briefing part of it, myself, Sergeant Rennie, and Sergeant Naylor drove over to the Stevens Inn.
Initially went to the office and get them to start pulling surveillance. And then we went over to room 402, which is where Robert Early was staying. Emily's clothing was in the room. Her cell phone was in the room. Her vehicle was there. Her purse was in the vehicle. We spoke with Robert Early briefly, and he was very cooperative. We asked him if he'd come down to the station with us and talk to us so we could get more details, and he agreed.
I met with Emily's parents. They came to the police department with Emily's 2 daughters. I got to know Emily on a more personal level. She came from a home that you could tell there's a whole lot of love, a whole lot of communication between them all. And since she hadn't called, they were really nervous.
Detective Rennie was one of the very first ones that we talked with. We understand that from the time that he got on the case, he didn't sleep. You know, we left the police department, you know, with their assurances that they were going to find her.
We're on our way to the elevator. I grabbed the children a couple of stuffed animals to give to them, to just try to comfort them. Dealing with the children and their emotions, knowing that there's a possibility that something bad has happened to their mother is probably one of the hardest things you could ever do. The youngest one looked at me and said, "My mommy's just lost and you're going to bring her home, right?" And at that point I told the child, yes, I'm going to do my best to bring her home.
That really reassured them. It really did.
Robert Early came back to the station. There was nothing pointing at him. We were just getting his statement. And through his statement, we might be able to find something in there that could help us lead to where she's at. At that time, he was our only lead. The clock was ticking.
In a non-custodial interview, they are not under arrest. They are free to go at any time. He's facing the door. Nothing's blocking the door. That way he knows, and he's told, man, if you decide to get up and leave, nobody's going to stop you.
I met her in November, and we've pretty much been inseparable since. I mean, I moved in, like, really, officially December. I mean, but we pretty much, you know, her parents went out of town. We stayed at her parents' house. She stayed at my mom's house.
Okay, how old is she?
30.
Okay, how old are you?
33.
He's very cooperative on everything. Kind of going through a traumatic event because his girlfriend's missing. If he hadn't called it in, we wouldn't have known.
We drove to Carlsbad, did the Carlsbad Cavern deal. She got her little passport book stamped.
There was cell phones with pictures that included events during that Saturday prior to her missing. So, you know, that kind of backs up what he's telling us.
And then we went from there to Roswell. From Roswell, we went to a place called Tijuana's, and we had fajitas, and I had 2 margaritas, and she had 1. And then we went from there to a place called Farley's.
When we're doing an investigation, we like to get a timeline. We like to get a story. It gives us information that we can go and possibly check on, such as surveillance, receipts.
You know, it was her last night in town. So we met up with my boss at the hotel bar and just got pretty much obliterated from there.
The Blue Cactus, it's the only spot pretty much that we have here in Carlsbad, and so it does get packed over there. They were dancing, they were both happy. She was, you know, hugging on them, kissing on them, and she started playing pool with them. She was wearing a little short skirt, so every time she would bend over to take a shot, he would get behind her and like block the view.
The dress was see-through completely. I mean, you'd have to probably really, in a darker bar like that, notice, and she had some gray panties on. She was getting hit on by guys. She came back and said, "Hey, this guy said, if he's not taking care of you good, I'll take you home." Some strange dude. I'm like, whatever, you know, Emily, if that's what you want, go ahead and go. You know, she didn't get the response from me she wanted. Then I'm leaving. I figured she's gonna go smoke. She's gonna blow off some steam. She'll be cool. And so that's when I left. Right when I started thinking that.
How come she didn't take her phone?
Because it was dead and we only needed 1. We were going together. We were at the hotel. I mean, we walked over there. Went back to the room with the key. She wasn't in there. And then I started pacing up and down and walking around. And I shut the door.
What time that was going on?
Maybe a little bit after 12 or maybe 11:40, something in between 12:20 and 11:40 something, I'm guessing.
So you're saying she left with someone?
You know, I didn't see her actually leave with somebody, but she was talking about some dude who was leaving, you know. She's not at the hotel. She's not in the room. Where the else was she gone? everybody. She makes friends everywhere she goes.
Robert Early's living down here right now. He's working in the oil field, and his girlfriend's from Dallas. She's a school teacher. She came down to visit him for the weekend. Robert Early, they had went to the bar with his girlfriend, and they got into an argument, and Emily had left. Robert called 911 to report her missing. All the detectives are called out, and we work it as a team.
We were looking for evidence and interviewing witnesses, surveillance, different businesses around that area to see if they caught anything.
It's all hands on deck, just driving as far and as fast as they could to get everything done.
When Emily was missing, the first thing I did was create a Facebook page. Finding Emily is what it is. We called businesses in Carlsbad. Hey, can you print off this picture? It's got this missing detailed information. Can you put it up in your window? Because if you get the word out, you get her picture out, more people know about it. What if she'd fallen and hit her head and she was stumbling through the desert somewhere? I mean, you don't know.
Carlsbad police have been working around the clock to locate the missing woman and bring her home safely. Friends and family say she'd never been out of touch with her 2 young daughters for this long.
The various news media here had gotten lit up about the situation.
And we thought, well, if we got it on the news that
somebody might have seen something and go, oh, I saw her.
So you're saying she left with someone?
I didn't see her actually leave with somebody, but she was talking about some dude who was leaving, Should she not at the hotel? She's not in the room. Where the else was she gone?
You just don't seem the type of person to me that the girl comes up and says, you, and turns around and walks off and you let that happen. You don't strike me as that type, dude. You just don't.
I mean, I know her. Y'all don't.
Exactly. We talked to several people at the bar, and none of them see her leave with anybody.
She could have gotten in the truck right away in the parking lot. Already had somebody waiting for her. I'm sitting here in my mind, and I'm going to ask you this question. Because I follow missing persons report, and what's scaring me is I'm wondering why I'm being grilled so hard. Is everything okay?
Let me explain something. Okay. You're the last person that's seen her alive. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
I mean, hands down, you're the last person. If I'm getting to a point where either I'm getting frustrated or I'm running out of the questions I need to be asking, I'll get up and I'll walk out. Yeah, we use it as a strategy quite a bit. It opens Scott up to be able to start talking to him or asking questions.
A lot of times I'll just stay back in that chair and start heading directions that he wasn't hitting.
Was it noticeable that y'all had an argument?
I mean,
if someone was sitting at the table next to you all or in the area that day?
I mean, I kept it pretty much as discreet as I could.
I noticed he started scolding her, and then he started grabbing her from the back of the neck and started putting his finger in her face and shaking her.
How's your temper? Fights?
I'm never getting any fights.
You're going to tell me that you don't have a violent temper.
I don't have.
You're going to tell me that none of your friends are going to tell me that you're violent.
None of my friends are going to say I'm violent. I'm not. I'm not going to just sit there and, but I've never been arrested for beating up somebody. I've never been in an altercation.
Just because you're not arrested for it doesn't mean that you don't do it. You know what I mean? I have talked to some people in Dallas that say you do have a violent past.
Who?
I'm not going to tell you that. I had contacted his ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend. Robert Early's got a violent nature to him. Something's just not right. He says the phone's in the room, dead. According to Emily's parents, she never left her phone anywhere. This guy has rehearsed this story. A normal person, when they're telling you a story, they don't have exact times, the exact amount of drinks that they had, where they were at that exact moment, what they were talking about. They don't remember those kind of things right off the bat. That made him suspect. What's your gut telling you right now?
Yesterday I was having really, really bad tingly feelings, and that I just hope she's okay.
I'm not asking you what you hope. That's what's your gut feeling right now.
I honestly think that she got involved with some wrong people, and she's either hurt or trapped, or somebody's got her not letting her go. And then that, I mean, otherwise, why would she be back?
Okay, well, I mean, do you think she's dead?
I have no clue. I hope not. You know, and that's the last thing I want for my girlfriend and a mother of two and a school teacher. You know, when I have a daughter, I mean, I couldn't imagine if I went missing, my daughter couldn't see me anymore, or her mom.
Something happened, and we were going to get to the bottom of it one way or the other, and he was the key.
Hey, Robert, you be willing to take a polygraph?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. It'd probably be about 10 a.m. in the morning.
nerves are shot.
You know why you're here today?
Because my girlfriend's missing.
I asked Robert Early to take a polygraph.
Put your left arm out in front of you. Palm up.
I wanted to see if he was showing any deception in the story that he was giving us, because I already had it in my mind, you're lying to me, and I need to find out exactly what you're lying to me about.
Emily Lambert is your girlfriend, the one that you were with Saturday night, is that correct?
Yes.
We all have what is known as the autonomic or involuntary nervous system. That controls things like your heart rate, your breathing, your body temperature. Do you intend to answer truthfully all questions regarding the location of Emily Lambert?
Yes.
The polygraph instrument and its attachments are recording those physiological responses. And when a question is asked, if that question is a threat to the self-preservation and general well-being of Mr. Early, then he would have a physiological response. If they weren't, then he wouldn't. Do you know where Emily Lambert is located?
No.
Do you know where Emily Lambert is located right now?
No.
The particular test that I utilize is called the Utah 3. The 3 relevant questions are just reworded. It's just asking the same question again and again. Do you know where Emily Lambert is located right now?
No.
Do you know the location of Emily Lambert today?
No.
It had been 2-3 days since she went missing. If there is any possibility of her surviving, it's dwindling. He was our only lead. Maybe he knows more than what he's telling us.
Do you know where Emily Lambert is located right now?
No.
I had my doubts. My thoughts were definitely that he's involved some way or another. Him agreeing to do a polygraph, we figured this would be the best tool to give us a direction.
And you didn't pass.
How?
It was asked 3 separate ways, and you didn't do well on any of the tests anytime I asked you.
I want to take it again then.
He had the same reaction that everyone else does that fails a polygraph. Well, I want another one. That one couldn't be right. It doesn't work that way.
We got the results back from the polygraph, and Robert Early transitioned from a witness to pretty much a suspect. We had to get aggressive.
What's on your mind right now, Rob?
I'm just waiting to see what you say. I mean, you said you're going to show me.
I'm not going to show you anything. I can tell you, dude, the hardest thing I've ever had to do is look 2 little girls in the eye that says, my mama's lost. Are you going to bring her home? Being a father, yeah, man, that wasn't easy to do.
Do you know where she's at?
I was so proud.
Hands down.
I was hammered.
I understand that.
You were hammered, but something happened, right? We know that.
So we had an argument and she left. And that...
Everybody has telltale signs when they're telling a lie. Their body language, their facial expressions, the tones of voice change. Your shoulders are pretty heavy, dude. Now you cross your arms, your shoulders are heavy. I'm telling you right now, they are. When you have a lot of guilt on your conscience, you tend to feel like there's this weight on your shoulders, and you just kind of lean down. In most cases, when they're doing that, they want to tell you, they're just not to that point yet.
You know, we had an argument, she left, and, you know, from the hotel, you know, I mean...
Then what?
I got in the car and tried to drive around and look for her, and
you found her?
No, I never did find her. I never did get to find her.
Really?
We get lied to and they minimize. So that's where persistence and aggressiveness comes in. And the story changed.
I know she went in a vehicle.
What was the vehicle?
It was a thing. It had monster tires with Rockstar wheels on it, white, extended cab truck, and she was. I mean, it was the guy who she was talking to. Who she was talking to.
He's starting to get really nervous at that point. He was pretty close to being able to tell us the truth.
You know more than you're saying, because you just gave us more information, whether it's true or not. I kind of think it's half-assed bullshit, okay? I'm not trying to be an ass to you, but we're dealing with life here, buddy. We're dealing with someone's life.
I know.
We're not here to hammer on you. We're here to get the truth so we can possibly do something to help her. This isn't our first time to deal with this.
And you deal with one of two kinds of people. One, an accident happened, or two, you deal with a monster.
I'm not a monster.
Huh?
I said, I'm not a monster.
You're not a monster.
No.
Convince me of that right now, because, dude, you coming forward with that right there and saying that, and you've been hiding it for 2 days, I have a problem with it. When you give a person a choice, then it puts it all back on them, and they want to believe that, hey, they're not a monster, that, this bad things happened, and I'm sorry. So in giving them those choices, you give them an out. And that out is, you're going to tell me the truth. It's just going to be in a roundabout way.
I've been dreading this the whole time. I thought he'd bring her back or took her to the hospital or something happened. I wasn't sticking around. Dude was big. I mean...
Okay, start back when you're in the bar.
Dude pulls up. Emily gets in his ride. I just pulled out and went the way that I seen them pull out of the Stevens.
Which way did you go?
South.
When you went out?
I don't know the direction. Canal towards Walmart.
Okay.
Towards Walmart, south.
He pulls up into some sort of looking like housing little area or something, like a house or something. And by the time I get out, Emily barely had any clothes on, and I pull up. We start, beefing, and he comes running at me with a pipe, and she jumps in front. Blah!
Where did he hit her?
Right in the head. I mean, and I was like, good. And he comes at me, and I just got in the car and just burned out,
Okay, when he told us that story, we're getting closer. But he's still full of crap. Now he's putting himself around what happened, but he's still minimizing his involvement.
I waited it out because I didn't know what else to do. I've never been in this situation. I've seen movies and all the 48s and stuff. I mean, I'm guilt by association.
The only part that was believable was the fact of where the house was. Show me where the house is.
Is it a crew cab?
Was she bleeding?
It looked like there was blood.
Our focus at that point was, if he knows where the house is, show us the house, because we believe that something happened at the house and we're going to find her.
It's a pretty quiet drive. And Robert Early in the back. Anticipation. There's still that hope. There's always that hope. They're still alive.
Can you show us where that location is?
Show me where the house is.
Is it a crew cab?
Was she bleeding?
It looked like there was blood.
Robert Early is the main focus of the investigation. He is our suspect. He told us the Parkfish story of, hey, man, I followed this truck out, and this guy got out, swung, and whop, hits her in the head, and she drops. The only part that was believable in that story was the fact of where the house could be. If he knows where the house is, show us the house. There's always a hope that you're going to find the person alive. Maybe she's just injured, she's laying out there, and we can find her and get her help.
We drove out to 31. It was approximately 3 miles off of the Loving Highway. And Robert Early pointed out a residence kind of up on a hill. And we pull up to it, and there's 2 pilasters. This property was old. The house appeared to be been there a long time.
We get out of the car. Robert actually starts to walk with us when I tell him just stay at the car and we'll come back. We're kind of looking around and we notice these 2 drag marks in the road going back behind the house. And Lieutenant Blackman started following those tracks.
I continue to walk down the road, and it kind of just wraps around an old tin building. As I walk around that building and I look up, towards the north there, I can see an obvious body. It was a pretty bad scene, a lot of blood, especially around the head area. Tattoos matched. It was a lifeless body, and it was Emily. It wasn't good to see.
The first thing that came to my mind was her children and her parents, and how I was going to break that news to them.
It was Tuesday late in the afternoon. They called us to tell us that they had found Emily and that she was not alive. Don and I just hugged each other and said, well, that's it. We're alone now.
Emily, she had a brother who was killed in a vehicle crash 2 years prior to her death. They've lost both of their children.
I returned to where Robert Early was in my car smoking a cigarette. And I told him at that point, we found her. And he tried to act surprised, and he's smoking his cigarette, leaning up against my car. And he says, really, you found her? And I said, yeah, she's deceased. Absolutely no emotion. He just looked at me, kind of ducked his head, and continued smoking. I told the lieutenant that, hey, I'm going to go back to the station, try to find out the rest of the story. The lieutenant looks at me and says, you think that's a good idea? I was probably a wreck at that point.
There was just a little too much emotion involved with Sergeant Rennie. I just felt it'd probably be better to get somebody else in there to work a different angle, to get everything out. We had partial truth. We needed it all. It's hard to move forward without the confession.
All right, man. Well, I know you haven't talked to me yet, okay? Like I said, my name's Alan.
I selected Detective Sanchez based off of the way that I've seen him interview before, introducing somebody else, somebody that would build a different type of rapport, might be a little bit more effective in being able to get that confession.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not here to cut deals. I can't make promises. I'm not authorized to do that. But the district attorney's office won't do anything either right now until after we talk to you and give you the opportunity to tell your side and tell the truth.
Alan Sanchez, that guy can talk a talk, and he didn't have any problems throwing himself under the bus to get what we need.
I'm not married for a reason. It's because I'm a hoe bag. All right, straight up. And it's because I've been in different relationships and stuff, man. So I know how it goes, and it can get real heated. You can get jealous. Jealousy is a powerful thing, man, especially when you're drunk.
Yeah, and I told him, yeah, I'm a hoe bag. I wanted him to see the human side of me, like I'm just a regular person.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't, yeah.
Oh, man, I hear you. I'm not trying to put that off. I'm just giving instances and examples, okay? That's it. Okay, we're just talking.
Yeah.
So I understand how that stuff goes, man. I really do. I understand how, especially when you're drunk, you're like, you get pissed. And obviously you were pissed that night, and you were like, what the hell,
I wanted him to understand that I understood how it was to be drunk and maybe not be in control of your emotions. I wanted him to feel like, man, this guy does understand. Yeah, you can lose your temper, and almost make him think that I felt like it's okay.
Does the severity of the crime, if I, to not including myself in saying I'm saying anything, but from your standpoint, would I ever see my kid again?
His voice, it was like shaky. You could just hear it. I remember being able to see his heartbeat in his neck, in his vein.
So you gotta understand something, Robert.
And I also want a cigarette.
Oh man, I've got you hooked up with cigarettes, yeah.
So
I smoke too, so
we'll go smoke a cigarette. I'll man, I'm tired of it, dude. God, I have all my chips. Let's go burn one. Come back in there and
you'll tell me everything
that I can remember.
There was a recorder that I had put inside my pocket, just in case we went outside.
Emily she's so headstrong, and she's bigger than any other girl I've been with, and a lot stronger. And she, after she was in the car and I did all that stuff, and I'll retell you it all when we come back in here, but
I was nervous. If he confessed to me outside and it wasn't recorded, I wasn't going to be able to use it. So as I'm going down the stairs behind him, I'm reaching in my pocket and I'm looking for the button to push to turn it on. But I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was recording or not, so I was actually very nervous. And since we have limited evidence, they're not going to be able to get a conviction without the confession. I didn't want to mess that up. I was nervous about messing the case up. If he confessed to me outside and it wasn't recorded, I wasn't going to be able to use it. We're outside having a smoke, and that's when he started to talk to me about what happened.
I kicked her with my steel toe.
You said you kicked her?
I kicked her with the steel toe. 4 times, and she was out, and I was like, freaking out. I didn't know what to do.
I wasn't sure if I had the recorder on or not. I was actually already thinking, how am I going to get him to tell me everything all over again? And I was stressed out because just in case the recording wasn't going, I needed to take him back inside and recap it in front of the camera.
Let's start from the beginning, man. And no bullshit, no nothing, okay? No bullshit, no nothing.
It's going to be kind of hard to go, okay, so when you said you kicked her square in the face, can you, go through that with me one more time? You can't do that. You're leading them. And everything that is said after that is not admissible in court. I didn't want to mess up any chance of Emily getting any kind of, justice, and it be my fault.
We were arguing a little bit, it wasn't nothing big. It really wasn't nothing big.
What was the argument about, man?
She said that, some dude said that if I didn't treat her right, he'd take her home. And I was like, whatever, whatever. If that's what you want, go ahead and leave. And then when she said, you and left.
She went to the room. A short time later, he ended up going to the room.
She was like, I'm getting my and I'm leaving. We're done, it's over, I'm leaving you, this and that. And I was like, really? And then she was wanting to drive. That's what started the whole altercation in the room. She wanted to drink and drive all the way back to Fort Worth. I said, no, you're not leaving. She started going crazy with me, and we started, pushing around, and that's when she grabbed my arm and bit the hell out of me. And it swept me back, and I put my head against the wall. And that's when I got up and hit her. And then I kicked her. A couple times I lost it.
Where did you kick her the first time?
I think in the mouth.
Okay.
But I hit her in the side and kicked her in the mouth. She was still okay. She got up. And I was like, what? I was pretty shocked. I was able to get her down, and she was pretty crazy. I was tripping out. I didn't know what was going on, and then I kicked her again there.
Where'd you kick her that time?
I think in the face.
Okay.
Pretty much all headshots.
Okay.
He didn't show really any emotion. Not once did he cry. He talks about what he did to her like nothing. That's when I started thinking I'm dealing with somebody that may not feel remorse.
She was just laying there breathing, like a weird breath, and
Like she was knocked out?
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm blind, oh my God. And I just put her in the car and drove out there. Skulls again behind that guy's house. She came to, and then as she was coming at me, I grabbed that freaking air pump, and I grabbed that and whacked her with it, and I whacked her with it a couple times.
How did you drag her back there, brother? I know it's probably a thing to think about, but I mean, did you grab her and drag her back, or did you wrap her with something and drag her back?
I wrapped her with something.
What did you wrap her with?
Rope.
A rope?
It was just a quick, like a slip, and then just threw it around the passenger door, shut the door.
Tied a rope around her neck, put the rope and jammed it in the door jamb of the car, and drug her body behind the car.
We go out to the crime scene, and those drag marks extend for roughly 510 feet. That distance, it's longer than a football field and a half. And then you find Emily. It's something that I will never forget.
When I found out what actually happened to Emily, I was sitting in a restaurant. I dropped my phone, and I literally slid into the floor under the table at the restaurant. I just melted into the floor. Nobody wants their best friend to die. Nobody wants their best friend to die the way she did.
The manner of death was blunt force trauma to the head. They determined that after dragging her with the rope that she was still alive because the injuries sustained while she was being drugged by the vehicle, she was bleeding at that point, so the heart was still pumping. And then he hits her in the back of the head with the pump till she's deceased.
When we saw her body, I just remember just thinking, man, this guy, like, who does this to somebody else? I mean, he basically tortured her. You know, is what it amounts to.
In the case of Emily Lambert, our office sought life without parole for the first time since the death penalty was repealed. We had to prove that when he took her out to that location and she was still alive, that she was being taken against her will, and the kidnapping was committed with the intent to kill.
The hardest part for me during the trial was to find Robert pocketed his phone, and I guess it made a call to Emily's phone and recorded, I guess, what were her last words. Never again get away from me. It was hard. It was really hard. Never again get away from me.
It was a great case to prosecute because they had done such a wonderful job investigating it. And that confession is what gave us the ability to seek that life without parole.
I really had a hard time interviewing him and doing the case. I'm glad he's going to be locked up forever. Yeah.
The detectives worked so hard to, not only get the confession, find her, because, it could have gone on and her body not be recovered and us never to know what happened.
When we finally wrapped everything up, it's a feeling of relief, but bear with me. Tough deal. Put closure on it for the family. But the kids were still out with Mom.
It was a very emotional time. It's the first time that I've ever told a child that I was going to bring the parent home, when in fact I brought them home, but they were deceased. So it hit home pretty hard and continues to this day. We try to stay in contact with the family as much as we can.
After the trial, they came for a trip here to Carlsbad, and we planned a luncheon, and Emily's favorite color was green. So they decorated everything in green, and they had gifts for the children. We had all the officers there, and we wanted them to have a positive memory.
We felt like they grew so close to Emily and felt like they knew her, and we wanted them to know the girls, and we wanted the girls to know and to appreciate what they did, for us and for them.
Emily's family had bracelets made, and they gave all of us one, and it says, remembering Emily Lambert, Lucky 23.
We called Emily Lucky, that was her nickname, because she was lucky in life, usually, ironically, and she liked the number 23 since I knew her. So all of her friends and her family all have Lucky 23 tattoos.
You're my good luck charm because you're my mommy's best friend. And mommy's grandma. No. Mommy's mom. You're great grandma.
Eden and Danica, both of them are just spunky little rays of sunshine, just like their mother.
Both girls know that their mom plays softball and loves softball. And Danica had her first softball game today.
Emily's youngest daughter.
She's her youngest. She got a hit her first time at bat, and the bases were loaded, so she got an RBI. We're hoping that she stays with it, because Em would have been pleased.
For more about Criminal Confessions, go to Oxygen.com.
On scene, this looks like a shooting.
The victims had no idea what was coming.
Somebody was in that back seat that was extremely upset with the two people in the front seat.
My last two words to her was, Anissa, you're going to get killed behind him.
Yeah, I know everything that happened. I was in the truck when it happened.
Was it a drug deal gone bad? Was it a robbery?
That's him.
We need to get on this right away. We need to find this guy.
I don't know what is the truth and what is the lie.
I'm starting to think there's something more to this. A witness is a great thing.
We know everything you're going to tell me right now.
If in fact it's true. Waterloo is the 5th largest community in the state of Iowa.
It's a blue-collar town. It's people that put their 8 hours in and go home and want to be with their families. But it really doesn't matter where you're at in the city, there's going to be crime.
Junior was always the type of kid, he loved his mother. He loved his children. I knew he had a street life, but Junior was so protective, he kept that from me. You know, if I asked him questions, he'd be like, Mom, you don't want to know that.
Anissa Schroeder was my baby sister. Anissa was never the type of person to do things to hurt nobody, never harm nobody. Me and Anissa had the best relationship until she started dating with Junior.
I would always question where you get your money from. So I was afraid for his life at times. And I told him, I said, you can choose life or you can choose death.
911, what's your emergency?
Someone ran into someone else's fence. It's a Chevy truck.
Okay, are there still people inside it?
I think it's a female and a male, I think.
People are dead, okay.
There's blood everywhere.
They dispatched out police and fire and ambulance for a motor vehicle accident in the 1300 block of Donald Street.
303's on scene. This looks like a shooting.
When we approached the vehicle, there was a female driver and an adult male passenger. Both of them appeared to have gunshot wounds to the head. It appeared to us that somebody had sat in the back seat and shot them from behind. So it was a little unnerving to know that the victims had no idea what was coming at the time.
Shortly after 11:30, I got a phone call from Sergeant Krogh advising me to report to work that there had been a homicide. So I got out and made contact with the supervisor on scene, and right off the bat, he told me that this was going to be my first homicide as a primary investigator, so that kind of kicked it up a notch for me.
When I got up there to the crime scene, there was numerous squad cars, there was already investigators on scene, an ambulance.
The male victim in the car was identified as Ronald Skullark. His nickname was Junior. He's 28-year-old from Waterloo. The female victim in the car was identified as Anisha Schroeder, 18 years old, a young gal from town, and it appeared that they were boyfriend and girlfriend.
That morning, the phone rang. It was my daughter. She said, Mom, there's been a murder, and they say it's Junior. For that moment, that my life stood still. Looked like all of a sudden we all started moving in slow motion. Looked like we couldn't get out there fast enough.
I went to the ambulance to identify Anissa, to have a body bag unzipped, and your daughter's in there. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
When I walked up and I looked in the ambulance and he was just laying there. I wanted to feel something. I couldn't feel nothing. I couldn't feel my hands no more. I couldn't feel my feet. So that's one of the hardest thing for me as a mother to have to go through.
It's gut-wrenching to watch a person go through that, especially a mother of any child. And the families certainly deserve to have the person that took their loved one be brought to justice.
It was very important to me that the police find out who did this to my child. And when Camerati came in, he shook my hand and he said, I'm going to assure you that we're going to keep going until we find who did this to him.
At this particular scene, it was a very long trail of blood that led down the street from behind the vehicle. There was also footprints alongside that. So it looked like the shooting happened, then the vehicle kept moving, the blood trail started, and then the person that was in the back seat got out of the vehicle and then ran along that same path before they turned off and went into an area of an apartment that was nearby. It was my first homicide case as the lead investigator, so I immediately looked to Moeller for some guidance. Lynn Moeller was a long-time investigator, over 25 years in investigations at the Waterloo Police Department, so Lynn Moeller's kind of a legend around here.
One thing about Waterloo cops, you've seen our share of dead people. It's just good old police work. When you go to a crime scene, always look past the crime scene. I walked down this driveway, it was probably 150 feet long or so. There was a car. I don't know what drew me to the vehicle, but I looked at it, and on the left rear passenger, there was a smudge of blood, a good smudge. And these two people came out in They said that was their car. And they proceeded to tell me out there in the parking lot that they were leaving earlier. And this guy came running down the driveway from the street, and he was all out of breath. And it was somewhere between asking them and telling them to give him a ride. And he got in that left rear car door, and that's where the blood was. He wanted to be taken down the roadways, and then they dropped him off. The last thing they saw of him was going towards the street.
The next step in our process was to find out who this unidentified person was.
We went through leads, talking to the people who might know something. It was quite apparent that Junior was involved in drugs.
He had been known to be selling marijuana. And in fact, at the scene, there was a gun in the vehicle, some money, and some marijuana. It opens up a whole lot of possibilities as far as suspects and motivations for this particular shooting. Was it a drug deal gone bad? Was it a robbery? Was it a dispute over who's selling to who? That's what we needed to find out. And we got some information about a friend of Junior's, Raymond Deshaun Holmes. I went out to where Sean lived, and in fact, Sean was on the corner right in front of his house. I got out of the car, walked up the sidewalk to him, and he immediately confronted me with, "What's taking you so long? I've been waiting to talk to you."
Is he like a low-time dealer or kind of liquor dealer? Or, I mean, does he buy pounds normally? Well, that's what I'm getting at. I don't care that he sells dope, but
Yeah, he buy pounds normally. He don't buy little stuff.
My interview style has always been to try to keep the person feeling comfortable. And I deal with people from all walks of life. I've never felt it was beneficial for me to talk down to somebody.
yeah, I don't care. If you got a half pound in your house right now, I don't care.
I smoke weed. I ain't gonna lie to you. This is one of my best friends, so.
Sean wanted to tell me about a person named Tay and wanted to give me some information about him and Junior and Friday morning.
Tay told you he was in their car.
In the truck, yeah.
In the truck, Suburban, and you bought 2 pounds of dope.
How close are he and Junior? Close enough Junior trust him.
Is Tay scary like that? I mean, would he do some shit like this?
He's a robber.
He's a robber, maybe he's a robber.
He will rob somebody. You know what I'm saying? He's known for that.
Why kill him?
That I can't answer.
You think that he would actually be down for this, though, Tay?
Yeah. I hate to admit it, but yeah, I do.
After the information that Sean had given us, we immediately wanted to talk to Tay. They went out to do some surveillance on him and see if he was moving or not. They quickly saw him, and Tay was stopped with his girlfriend, Ashley Edwards. They were brought down to the station.
I'm investigator Cam Ryder, but you can call me Rob. It's just the last of here.
All right.
Okay. What's your name?
Martavis Keys.
Martavis Keys?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and talk to me about this then? Why we brought you down here?
Why y'all brought me down here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming because of the murder accident. Murder, right? That's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
Did you already talk to somebody about this?
I talked to Fleeger. What's the detective name?
Fleeger?
Yeah.
Fleeger.
Yeah, my fault, yeah.
When did you talk to Fleeger?
That same day. That later on that evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once we got the information that Tay was a person of interest, news traveled quickly here in the police department. Investigator Feeker from the task force called me up and told me an interesting piece of information.
Tay was a confidential informant of mine.
So Tay is a confidential informant. But on the other hand, there was a drug connection between Junior and Tay.
At this point in the investigation, we didn't know if Tay was a witness or a suspect.
Let's set some ground rules, okay?
Yeah.
I just want to know the truth.
I'm gonna tell you what happened, right? Now about what I was there. I seen everything.
This was a double homicide on the street in Waterloo, Iowa. Obviously, somebody was in that back seat that was extremely upset with the 2 people in the front seat. And the 2 people in the front seat come up with the short end of the deal. The driver of the Suburban was Anissa Schroeder, 18 at that time. And the male in the right front seat was Ron Skollark Jr., and he was 28.
Junior had a very interesting personality. He was outgoing. He had this grin about himself, his laughter, that if he laughed, you had to laugh with him. That was his personality. Always, even as a kid, he always smiled.
I met with Patricia the day after the homicide, and she was very forthcoming and honest. She knew that he was involved in some things that he probably shouldn't be, and she had no problem relaying that.
Camarade, he acted as if he knew Junior. Everything he did it personal. Just calling, checking on you today. Letting you know that we're still working on the case. Is everything okay? To have a police officer to have so much compassion, it was almost unbelievable.
Nobody deserves to die in such a violent manner, whether they're involved with drugs or not. I had talked to Raymond Deshaun Holmes, and he told me about a person named Tay. Investigator Feeker heard that we were looking for him and told me that Tay was an informant of his.
I met Tay back in July of 2007. He was picked up with some marijuana. He decided to help himself out and work with me. He was able to provide information on several cases where we were able to seize some drugs and guns. During my time with Tay, I felt that he was very truthful and honest with me. I think that boosted his credibility during the interviews.
Know why we brought you down here?
Why y'all brought me down here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming because of the murder accident. Murder, right?
Investigator Camaretta interviewed Martavis Tay Keys, and I ended up interviewing his girlfriend, Ashley Edwards. She was 8 months pregnant. You always separate the people you're going to interview.
2 people died, and it's important for you to be honest. What is Tay's relationship with Junior regarding drugs?
I don't have reasons to lie to you because I really don't honestly know very much about what's going on besides of what I've heard everyone talking about and what I've seen on the news.
It wasn't me. I wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about. To me, that's kind of an indicator of a witness that I don't think is necessarily telling the truth.
Tay's relationship with Junior as far as drugs. And if you sit there and say, I know nothing, Ashley, that's the first time you're lying to me.
The more forceful thing just doesn't personally work for me as the interviewer. There's definitely a power in not talking, because sometimes that makes a person more apt to just start speaking on their own. I barely even mentioned what the purpose of coming down to the station was, and he said,
I know everything that happened. Yeah, I know everything that happened. I was in the truck when it happened.
You were in the
I was in the truck when it happened.
and that took me by surprise. It just happened so quickly. He just started spilling information.
Junior picked me up, and when we got in the car, there was already a guy in the car. You know what I'm saying? There was already a guy in the car. And when I got in the car, them two was arguing. And he's telling the chick, you know what this is all about. You know what this is all about. And then she's like, I swear to God, I don't know. Then he's like, you know your boyfriend robbed you or some shit. Junior turned around and slapped him.
The guy in the backseat.
The guy in the backseat turned around and slapped him. And then dude pulled the pistol, and then dude bang, shot him. I froze up like, man, what you doing? What you doing? So then I hop out and just run.
Where do you run?
I run to the brown apartment buildings. And then somebody was pulling out. I hopped in there like, can I get a ride?
Tay was the one that had gotten a ride from the 2 people that Investigator Mueller had to talk to at the crime scene.
Tay's story appeared to be credible. The information that he gave, it was voluntary. I didn't have to push to get the information, and it seemed genuine, and he seemed like he really wanted to help us out.
When we're interviewing, we're not alone in there. There's somebody back in the audio-video room watching and listening to both of us. And if Rob has something that I should know that would warrant him interrupting my interview now, they're going to let me know. There was a knock on the door, and then I went out and talked with another investigator. He said that Tay is saying that he was in the Suburban. There was a 4th person, and this 4th person got into an argument with Junior and ended up shooting them both. The strategy at this point in time when I learned that information is she is not leaving that room until she tells me the truth.
Something happened right before he got to your place.
I knew something was going on. There was a lot of blood at the scene. He had blood on his shoes, on his arm. He went through a very traumatic experience. And you're just telling me he came home and didn't do nothing? If you're not truthful with me tonight, it can come back and cost you in the future.
There's 2 people who are dead. And your boyfriend next door is admitting to being there when it happened. Sometimes times when people get close to telling the truth, this is what happens. You got to understand, we know everything you're going to tell me right now. Tay has said it.
Told me that he was in the car with Junior and his girlfriend was driving, and whoever the was in the car with them, and him and Junior were arguing about, don't you owe me some money? Before he said he had looked over and a gun went off.
Then he said that he got a ride from somebody. Never told me who the somebody was. He told me he went to his friend Mark's house.
When they were both on the same page and giving us the same information, that can mean one of two things. She's corroborating his story, or they both have their story straight.
It's not real common in Waterloo to have a witness come forward that quickly that gives that much information that soon after the crime. So then the first thing we want to do is identify this unidentified person.
I'm going to show you a group of photographs. This group of photographs may or may not contain a picture of the person who committed the crime being investigated. Any questions about that? No. Okay. Number one. Turn the page.
Yeah, Tony Page. Okay. Yeah, Tony Page.
Number two.
Nope, not him.
Number three.
Damn, that's him.
How sure are you?
Yeah, I'm like 199% sure. Yeah, that's that man.
The suspect that he had named was Clarence Flowers. It was definitely a major step forward in the case. We need to get on this right away. We need to find this guy.
That's all right. The almost done, all right? Almost over there.
Tay's making comments that he doesn't feel safe going home. He thinks this person's going to come after him. Who's going to protect him?
I don't want anyone to be able to hurt him or you. Okay, and I think that's a realistic risk, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to put you guys up in a hotel on our dime, okay? We're going to have a police officer sit outside the door.
Let's stick him in a hotel and put an officer on him for protective custody, aka make sure they don't go anywhere.
A witness is a great thing, if in fact it's true.
Maybe there was a fourth unknown person, maybe there wasn't. Could have happened that way, but he had blood on him, and for him to run away, if you're completely innocent, the doubt started coming up.
I'm skeptical of basically everybody. We want to verify the story that Ashley and Tay have given us. So I arranged to have a polygraph examiner come that next morning.
If he does not pass the polygraph, Tay will cross that line from witness to suspect.
Halloween 2007 would have been the last day I seen Anissa. My last 2 words to her was, Anissa, you're gonna get killed behind him. And not even 2 days later, what happens? She's gone.
She was still 18. She was still a baby. She was still just starting to experience life, starting to grow up. You don't ever get over the murder of your child. You'll never get over it.
Officer Camerata showed nothing but sympathy and reassurance that whoever was the murderer, I'm not gonna arrest until this person's caught.
I went and picked up Tay on Monday morning and brought him down the station for the polygraph exam. But first, I want to ask about something.
Is it okay, man? That's some housekeeping stuff I have to do. Just a couple quick clarifications on some of the things from last night.
Moeller had told me that Ashley had told him that Tay had stopped by a friend of his house before coming home.
He told me he went to his friend Mark's house. He ran to his friend Mark's house.
Your girlfriend told the other investigator that you had told her that you had been to Mark's on Friday morning.
Mark? Yeah, that morning I've been there. Yeah, that morning, yeah.
You want to change anything? Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Rob was going to have the examiner do the polygraph, and I actually took Ashley out and drove around with her to see if she could show me where this Mark lives.
What I'm going to do is do a test on you about your statement to him. Okay, to make sure that you told him the truth.
All right.
Have you ever had a polygraph lie detector? That's the first time. Never. Okay.
Tay's story, it appeared to be credible, and Ashley had corroborated quite a bit of it, but we were still skeptical. It was just almost too good to be true, because he did have a criminal record.
Regarding that shooting last Friday, do you intend to answer truthfully each question about that?
Yes.
Next question. Are you now lying to Officer Camerata in your verbal statement about that shooting?
No.
If he does not pass the polygraph, Tay goes from now the witness to the suspect.
Okay. Just a question. Yeah. What do you think this car was?
I don't know.
Oh, what do you think it was? Did you tell the truth during the test?
Yeah, I believe so.
Huh.
It
came back truthful.
I knew I was telling the truth.
Well, I mean, you were either telling the truth or you weren't, so there's no question.
So I'm in the clear, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can go home now, right?
Well, you could have gone home last night. That wasn't the question, okay?
Yeah.
Have a seat. Have a seat.
Beautiful.
I felt it as a little bit of relief. This person that I've known, who was my confidential informant, wasn't actually the person that committed this crime.
It was definitely a good moment. We had an eyewitness. He was willing to help us out. And now the polygraph examiner is telling me his story is true. Now we can take this to the next step and really start looking for our suspect.
Is there anything you can help me with that'll help me find the guy?
Damn, that's him.
How sure are you?
Man, I'm like 199% sure. You know what, man? Just let me out on the streets. I'll go find this dude right now.
Well, I mean, I don't want you to do that.
The next phase in the investigation was for Investigator Feeker and I to go with Tay to drive the route for him to point out different points in the crime scene. While our guys were out there looking for Clarence Flowers, the suspect that Tay had named, and Moeller at the same time went out to speak with Mark, which is the house that Tay had stopped at before he went home.
It was before noon. It was 11:45 in the morning. Mark was actually kind of upset at Tay. He said, he kicked my back door in. And he used a lot more profound words than that. I went over there and looked at the door. His back door was kicked in. There was blood on this wall right here. And he had tracked blood on the floor in the kitchen. These thoughts are starting to creep in my head. He's run this long of a distance, running on streets, running across Highway 63. But he's still got enough blood on him to brush up against the wall and make tracks in the kitchen yet. I'm starting to think there's something more to this. This thought just popped in my head. I says, what color was the gun he had with him when you give him a ride? What color was that gun? Rather as compared to, did you see him with a gun? You know what his answer would have been if I said that? No, I didn't see no gun. I says, what color was the gun that he had? It was black. I'm trying not to show my emotion and says, okay, when did you see the gun? He says, well, when we were crossing the street, the gun fell on the street. And then I wanted to jump up and down and do a cheerlead. I got a phone call from Moeller. I'm over here at Mark Lee's place, and Tay had a gun when he was over here. Okay. I was shocked by it. I'm waiting for him to say something. I mean, time just drug on. It's like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. 50. I said, did you hear me?
Moeller repeated, Rob, did you hear me? Tay had a gun.
Well, I'm thinking, why in the hell aren't you saying, you gotta be shitting me? He had a gun?
It instantly struck me the parallels between my current situation and Friday morning's incident. I'm sitting in the same place Anissa was, Feeker's sitting in the same place Junior was, and Tay is sitting in the same place the shooter was, and now we know that Tay had a gun on Friday morning. We're in plain clothes, sitting in the car, our guard is down, there's no partition, and I don't want him to know that he's changed from a witness to a suspect, just like that. I say to Moeller, okay, yep, I'll see you in a little bit. We drove back to the station. I escorted Tay back to the interview room. It's time to go back in and talk to Tay. Tay and I have already built this relationship where he's free to talk to me and I can talk with him, we can exchange information. So I don't want to go in and just confront him with this. I need to explain to him, we need to be truthful, some information has come up, and I want him to give me that information about the gun.
The reason I came back here is some things came up.
I try to keep barriers out of the way, so I didn't want the table between the two of us. I wanted to sit near Tay, so there's that close feel relationship.
You need to be brutally honest with me about what happened over at Mark's house, okay?
Hey, nothing happened over there.
Did you drop anything outside?
No, I ain't dropped shit.
Okay. Look, you need to be honest with me here.
Swear to God, I ain't dropped nothing.
Okay? Did you drop something else?
I didn't drop nothing. What did I drop though? I ain't dropped no gun or nothing if you thinking that or something.
I didn't say gun. Why did you just say gun?
I'm just saying, though. You said, you know what I'm saying, what did I drop? I didn't drop nothing.
Okay. I didn't say anything about a gun. You just said I didn't drop a gun. Why did you say that?
I'm just saying, because you was like, did you drop something?
Would it surprise you to hear that they said that you dropped a gun?
Hell no, man.
Listen to me.
Hell no.
Look at me. I ain't playing. I haven't been playing. I'm putting down here. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Honest with you,
okay? Stop talking for a minute, okay?
That's real.
No reason why when I ask you, did you drop something, you say, you mean like I didn't drop a gun or nothing, there's no reason that you would just pick that out of nowhere.
Yeah, because
you've never said anything about a gun before, so why would you say it now?
Yeah, because it's what you just say, like, did you drop anything? Like
keys, like a phone.
I told you that I dropped my keys.
Any of those things have been possibilities, but you picked a gun out of nowhere.
He's withholding the truth, and withholding the truth is the same thing as lying. And if he lied about that, what else in his story did he lie about? If he lied about the gun, what else in his story did he lie about?
This is not the time to play games. I know that you lied to me, man. I know that you lied, and now I'm wondering why you lied.
This gun, it changes the story dramatically. First and foremost, Tay left it out, and leaving it out is lying to me. Plus, Tay had identified the suspect, Clarence Flowers, and our guys found the suspect, and he had a rock-solid alibi. He was nowhere near Waterloo at the time of the homicide. This new information has definitely changed the way we look at Tay. He was a witness, and now he's sliding towards that suspect category. There's a lot of explaining that needs to be done.
While you still had blood on you, you had a gun. Yes or no?
Like that? Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
He finally did admit that he had a gun at Mark's house. That doesn't mean he committed the murder. Just, I want him to tell me about this gun, and then we can move on to when he had the gun and why he had the gun.
I'm not saying that you shot them, man. I just need to get you to resolve why you had the gun with you and when you had it with you. But if you tell me these stories that I know aren't true, it doesn't help you.
Yeah,
look at me, man. Look at me. I'm serious with a heart attack here, okay? I know when you're telling the truth and when you're not, okay?
Right now,
so
I know.
What the thing about it is that if I walk out of here going, well, he's told me another story and that's not the truth, we are nowhere. We are nowhere helping you. Okay?
I still want to stay in that role of I'm on your side, I'm your friend. I still want to keep that relationship alive. I want him to continue to trust me.
Can I see my girl?
Yeah, I will bring her down here. You guys can sit in the room alone.
Go get her.
I'm not going to bring her down here until we talk. Right. I need to know what kind of gun that was.
It was just a small gun, man, like 38 or something, you know what I'm saying?
The size of the actual gun doesn't matter. I want to know what caliber it was.
What do you mean by caliber?
What kind of bullets it took?
I don't know, man. I don't know all that man, about what kind of bullets it took and all that man.
Obviously, we're going to be able to match the type of gun that killed these two people to a particular make and model of a gun. I think he realized that as well, and now he doesn't want to associate himself with that type of gun.
I mean, you think I'm lying, man? You think I'm lying, man? Just go ahead and take me downtown right now. It's real. I've been nothing but real to you all day now. It's real.
As his story continues to disintegrate, and I know that he's not telling me the truth, I have to confront him.
So where's it at now? No, before you can say anything, if you can't tell me where the gun's at now, that's not good.
Man,
where's the gun now?
I threw it in the trash.
Not good enough.
I thought about it like, okay, now, if they come back and question me about this then I got a gun at the house, then it's going to look real obvious. You know what I mean? I had walked down to the laundromat, and then I threw it away.
And what kind of a garbage can?
It was like a big dumpster garbage can.
What color?
It was green.
It's Monday morning. There's no garbage on the weekends. If you put that gun in that garbage, it's still there right now.
Well, it's still there then.
So if we go there and we don't find it, then what are you going to tell me?
And then, that's the truth, man.
What are you going to tell me if we don't find it?
And then you can think what you want to think, man. You can arrest me and charge me with the you want to, because I know that I didn't do shit. I know this for a fact. Now, you can make me sit here and take a polygraph test, all this crazy shit.
I started to think, how did I miss this? How did I believe all this yesterday? How did he pass the polygraph and I was convinced that he was telling the truth, and how did this get past me?
Your story is falling apart, man. I'm telling you, all of a sudden, if we were in a boat, we'd be sinking, okay?
Oh my God, I'm telling you.
This is not working, okay?
It's becoming very apparent to me that this is our guy. This is the guy that shot Junior and Anissa. wasn't asking anymore what happened. You're to that point where you know enough to put this person as our main suspect, as a perpetrator of this crime. Now ask the why.
Why did you shoot him?
I didn't shoot him, man. I didn't.
I'm not asking if you shot him. I'm asking why you shot him. There's a difference.
I was asking why it happened. That's a strategy that a lot of investigators use. It's allowing that person to explain themselves, because I want him to give me the information, not just have him say yes or no.
Why did you shoot Junior?
Why do you feel like I shot him for?
I'm not going to keep playing.
I don't think I shot him.
You don't think you shot him?
I don't know.
You don't know or you don't think?
I didn't. You're saying I committed a murder?
I'm not saying the word murder, okay? I'm saying that I know that you shot them. I don't know why you shot them.
I'm telling you nothing but the truth, man.
I got frustrated because he just, he wasn't wanting to provide information. I took him to the holding cell because we just were not moving forward.
You want to change it? It's not going to go.
I took him to the holding cell because we just were not moving forward. Once again, Moeller is interviewing Ashley.
These rooms can get a little warm, one way or the other.
I have yet to work a case where somebody comes in and says, oh, yeah, I saw my boyfriend shoot somebody. That's not the way it works. She's not going to give it to me freely, and that's part of the game you play in there.
Now is the time you need to say something and accept the fact that Tate's going to be arrested. Just because you weren't told a few little white lies and didn't tell me the whole story doesn't make you a bad person. But you've got something on the way here. You're young, you got a life ahead of you. It says, no, I'm going to bring her back down here and give her a chance to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
When you're sitting there talking to somebody and they're this close, and all you got to do is think in your head, what can I say to make her cross that line? She's sitting over there, she's 8 months pregnant. She doesn't need to be getting in trouble.
This is a good thing to stop, because that little child in there didn't need to be around that stuff. And that child, at the very least, needs at least a mother there to take care of him or her.
It's the best for them to tell the truth about what happened, and you stay there and you keep going forward, and finally they say,
I wanted to believe him.
mission accomplished.
Told me that there was a fight and that he had stopped somebody else, and the story changed, and that somebody had shot somebody.
I don't think Ashley fully realized what had happened and what she had become a party to.
I don't know what is the truth and what is the lie, because the story kept changing.
The truth is what you know and what you saw.
They was scared. Didn't know what to do. And the clothing blew all over me. That's why I had to get rid of them. Took off his clothes and put them in a garbage bag. Put the garbage bag into the suitcase.
Tell me where the gun and the garbage bag with the suitcase went.
Everything got burned. My clothes got burned. 7 bridges.
And what happened to the gun? Where at?
We're in prison.
We're gonna go for a ride. And you're gonna have to show me where you burned it, where it was tossed. All right?
Investigator Lake and I took her up to 7 Bridges, and lo and behold, there's a little circular fire pit with rocks around it. You could see the wiring frame from the suitcase. It was all right there yet. And then she went over and stood by the water, and she showed the direction where he threw the gun in, and we went back to the station, and then things had progressed between Camerata and Tay.
She just told the investigators some information that you left out.
What?
Okay? Now you're getting her involved. Okay?
What?
She told us about the park and the campfire. Can we talk about it? You're going to feel better when the truth is out. Right now, there's a big weight on your shoulders, is there not?
Yeah, white.
I think he starts seeing that the walls are kind of closing in around him, that we do know quite a bit of information that's putting him as our only possible suspect in this. And he kind of switches gears.
I know, look, come here, man. Come on, man.
My back is killing me, man, and I'm serious. I don't think you're going to tell me, but I'm not going to play.
I got frustrated. The families deserve to have the person that took their loved one, took their life, be brought to justice.
I'll tell you, man. Just let me see how. I swear to God, I'm gonna tell you, man. Just do that.
I don't think you're gonna tell me.
Look, I'll tell you everything you need to know as soon as you get here. I swear I will. Don't joke. You get him here, get her here. Let me talk to her husband one more time, and then demonstrate her on the way, and then me and you can have a conversation, and then you go finish your paperwork. No joke. I sit in the what you want me to do? Sit right here?
I escorted her back to the room and left, knowing full well that the room has cameras and it has audio as well. So whatever he said to her, I knew we were going to pick up on.
It's okay, baby. No problem. No, I'm glad you did that. So now I can tell him what really happened.
Tay, he said he'd tell us the truth if he could go in and talk with his girlfriend. And we're sitting there back in the audio video room watching.
Cuz, I ain't want to hurt your feelings, man. That's why I ain't want to put you in that. Okay. It's over, though. I'm gone. No more tape.
I'm watching with several other investigators and officers at the same time in the back room, and it's a victory for us, obviously.
Being a retired investigator, and one of the things I miss most, that's getting a confession like this.
After hearing that he confessed, it seemed unreal because you put the trust in someone for those few short months that I was with Tay when he was my confidential informant. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, maybe that could have been me. Maybe he could have turned on me when we were together.
Baby, I'm so sorry. I swear to God, I'm so sorry.
Camerati came over, and he said that we have a suspect. His name is Martavis Keys. He has confessed to the killing. I couldn't feel myself. I was just numb.
Officer Camerata said that he was being charged with the double homicides. It was, I don't know, it was emotional, but it was good. It just made me feel good knowing that they had him.
The next day, we recovered the gun. Everything fell together so quickly, and then when the trial comes, both the TV News and the Courier are there.
Prosecutors say Keys committed the murders. The reason? To steal a large amount of marijuana from Scalarg.
They played the majority of Tay's interview, as well as a large portion of Ashley's. And those are extremely important. The jury likes to see that in person. It was crucial.
Investigator Camerata did a wonderful job because a confession goes a long ways. There's no other way of getting out of it. That's your guilt right there.
We, the jury, find the defendant Martavis Deshawn Keys guilty of murder in the first degree.
It was murder first, which in the state of Iowa is a mandatory life without the possibility of parole.
Maybe we should feel like it's a victory, but it's another life that has been taken. I don't know if he's gonna suffer in prison. I don't know that. But I knew one thing. At that moment, I had to forgive him.
Yeah, put some comfort in there, knowing that he's not going to be out there no more, knowing that he's going to, spend the rest of his life in prison. But deep down, does anything ever really close it? She was 18. She had a whole life ahead of her. But knowing that somebody just deliberately took my baby from me is something that I can't get over. I can't. I miss Anissa dearly. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever get over her death. That's the only sister I have. I don't have no other sisters. Martavius gets to live every day. He still gets to make phone calls to his kids. I go talk to my sister at a grave.
You feel bad for everybody that's involved in this. Junior, Anissa, Patricia, and Tammy. And I feel bad for Ashley, and especially their unborn child. Everybody, in some way, shape, or form, is a victim here.
Martavius didn't have to take his life. He really didn't. But that's part of the street world. It really is. It's a game, but it's murder. It's pure death.
For more about Criminal Confessions, go to Oxygen.com.